walking down a winding road, I see the sun that glows in every crack, in every stone where wildflowers grow. The whispers of the wind, they tell a tale of time. Every broken heart's a lesson dressed in quiet rhyme. Tangled heart strings pull and tear, they guide us through the haze. Every note a melody that plays through all our days. Find the strength in every chord, the courage to let go. Life's a song we're writing slow through highs and every low. The river runs its course, it bends but never breaks, just like the choices that we make, the chances that we take. A violin begins to hum, it weaves a silver thread through symphonies of sorrow and the words we've left unsaid. Tangled heartstrings pull and tear, they guide us through the haze. Every note of melody that plays through all our days. Find the strength in every chord, the courage to let go. Life's a song we're writing slow through highs and every low. Yo, it's the echoes of the past, the lessons in the cracks. We're patching up the holes in all the love we lack. Life's a dance, a crazy chance, a waltz beneath the moon. Keep the rhythm steady, cause the dawn is coming soon. So take a bow and play your part, no matter how it stings. The world will turn, the tune will change, but love's what always clings. The violin, it softly cries, the stars begin to fall. Through tangled heartstrings we will rise, we'll conquer after.
Morning. We just changed our Southwest flight to stay an extra day. Didn't have to pay a fee.
Beautiful. Our kids won't miss us. They're in Mima.
Mima.
We're in love! Again!
Change your flight without a fee. That's a big flex.
Silver thread through symphonies of sorrow and the words we've left unsaid. Tangled heartstrings pull and tear, they guide us through the haze. Every note a melody that plays through all our days. Find the strength in every chord, the courage to let go. Life's a song we're writing slow through highs and every low. Yo, it's the echoes of the past, the lessons in the cracks. We're patching up the holes in all the love we lack. Life's a dance, a crazy chance, a waltz beneath the moon. Keep the rhythm steady, cause the dawn is coming soon. So take a bow and play your part, no matter how it stings. The world will turn, the tune will change, but love's what heartstrings pull and tear, they guide us through the haze. Every note a melody that plays through all our days. Find the strength in every chord, the courage to let go. Life's a song we're riding slow through highs and every low. Walking down a winding road, I see the sun that glows in every crack, in every stone where wildflowers grow. The whispers of the wind, they tell a tale of time. Every broken heart's a lesson dressed in quiet rhyme. Tangled heart strings pull and tear, they guide us through the haze. Every note a melody that plays through all our days. Find the strength in every chord, the courage to let go. Life's a song we're riding slow through highs and every low. The river runs its course, it bends but
you know, it's funny because I'm super independent, and that is very intimidating to most men.
Oh, wow.
So I think I start off right from the beginning being very, very independent.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever been in a relationship where independence hasn't been the forefront of who I am.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah. I think setting your grounds in the beginning is a very crucial place to go.
Right.
More independence in a relationship. It was probably when I was in an unhealthy one. It was really toxic. It was too overbearing and controlling. But I do believe in like healthy partnership when you are in a relationship. Like when you are in a relationship, you do more things together. But I think it was when I was specifically in the toxic one that it was just I needed my own space.
What was that identifying moment for you that, you know, really stuck out?
It was a lot of like manipulation and jealousy. It was like you can't have these friends, you can't have these friends, whether they were female or male. A lot of like boundaries were crossed. It was just really unhealthy. So it was like a pattern of toxic behaviors.
I was bored, and my now ex-husband did not join me in my exciting adventure plans that I had. And I don't like waiting for men to do things, as I've come to learn. And that's when I realized that I needed to stop waiting for men and just do it on my own.
Now, I guess we all want to know what was the exciting adventure you had going on that he didn't join you on.
Oh, I really just wanted to travel and like do things. But like in the more mundane, everyday things, it was like hanging a picture.
So I don't have my driver's license,
Oh.
so that's a big one. He drives me everywhere.
Heard.
Yeah, because I drive her everywhere. I feel like I'm with her a little bit too much sometimes.
Oh, also we're next door neighbors.
That is true.
Yeah, so we're together a lot.
Heard. Okay.
I don't know. We don't mind it though. I feel like that's a big part of our relationship is spending a lot of time together.
All right, so I had a situation where myself and a young lady decided to be completely domestic and move in with each other, and so we got a spot. And then I started realizing that certain freedoms that I didn't have anymore. Naturally, when you're with a partner, you have to, check in, maybe let them know when you might be home, stuff like that. And I wasn't a fan of that type of stuff, especially not at the time. So, yeah, I had to, let her know. I still need some time in my old spot. I'm gonna still pay the bills over here, as planned. But I'm a home base gonna be where it was, and until I'm ready mentally to make this jump for real.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How about you, Fab? Do you have any?
I actually do. Similar situation for me, moving in too early. Just you're just young. You don't understand the game really. I would say. So you move in too young, and you just realize that it's the reason why you have like the dating, talking, boyfriend, girlfriend versus being, like engaged, married, like it's levels.
Yeah.
And for everybody watching, make sure that you don't move in until you're at least engaged.
Right.
Anything before that, you're just moving too fast and it's prone to have a lot of issues. So, long story short, wait till you're engaged to move in.
Hello, you guys. Hey. Okay, so the question of the day, well, one of our poll questions is, do you think, hold on a second, let me make it bigger. Do you think it's possible to be truly independent while in a committed relationship? Absolutely.
Yeah, I do.
I'm gonna go with not sure there because it kind of depends on the situation.
The relationship itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if you go into it, kind of like that one woman said, and when you were doing the man on the street, she was like, I came into this independent and, so I'm setting that expectation right up front. And I think that's probably the best thing if you are a super independent person to make sure you say that up front so they're aware of it and they're not like, oh my God, what do you mean you want to spend time by yourself? But
I do like she brought up the point that men are intimidated by independent women, and I think that is true.
Yes, because we're scary.
I'm going to be wholehearted here, and I'm going to say yes, we are.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. All right, guys, welcome back to another Sunday of Tangled Heart Strings, where Andrea, TJ, and I chat about all the things we like to keep hidden. This week, we're here to discuss summer love. It may be you. Oh my goodness, I lost my spot, guys. The hot, clingy, soon ex. Don't worry. If you think it may be you in the relationship, we have some tips to drop for those habits. But if it works for your relationship, that's okay too. Clinginess is okay as long as we're communicating and both parties are okay with it. Don't become too clingy where the other party is not okay with it. And then next, we'll chat about the taboo. How are we keeping it hot and healthy in the bedroom? Woohoo, that's going to be my favorite part. Don't worry, singles. We have some tips and tricks to keep you satisfied this summer also. TJ, let's start untangling those heartstrings. I am lost tonight, guys. Shit.
Well, I love these topics. I love especially talking about H5 clinger. That is fun. We don't want that, but I think it's really, really hard, especially in summer flings, because you kind of get attached to somebody, and then feelings start to arise. It's like tricky territory. So I'm excited for us to jump in and talk about this. What do you think, TJ?
I mean, first off, I want to say what's up to all the lads and ladies out there. I'm glad to be with you guys to untangle some heartstrings. Something that we all can depend on this summer is that it's extremely hot. But one thing we can't depend on is that if that hot summer babe you meet on the beach somewhere is just too overwhelming for your life. Hopefully we can alleviate some stress that may be lingering on your mind, whether it's time to let them go or not.
I love that. Well, let's jump in, you guys. Hello to everybody out there. listening to us. We're excited you're here. Hit us up with your questions. We love hearing that. But we're going to jump right in and we're going to talk about something that's totally misunderstood in relationships, which is ownership. I don't know if I even want to call it that, but love is not control. So we want to start by saying that commitment is not possession. So being with someone doesn't mean that defines who you are. And it doesn't mean that you're going to move throughout the world like totally together all the time. You own this person. So this conversation is for anyone who has felt claimed instead of chosen, and anyone who's learning how to show up in a relationship with respect and not control. Because at the end of the day, we want healthy love relationships. We want to honor freedom, and no one is anyone's possession. You guys agree?
I do agree. And this is very, very toxic behavior.
Very.
It's a learned experience and it's not normal relationship behavior. Allowing someone to control you is sometimes something you don't know is wrong because of past toxic relationships you've had. And they may not necessarily have been romantic relationships, but, you know, with your parents or a sibling who was overbearing and controlling and had to have everything their way, and you could only do it their way. So it's a learned behavior, it's a toxic behavior, and it's something that you truly need to at least address with communication and be like, hey, maybe this person doesn't understand that you don't like being controlled because they don't understand that it's toxic either. So opening up and communicating with this person, hey, I personally am feeling controlled and I don't like this. And I think we need to step back a little bit and you need to let go of some of that control. And if you can't do that, then maybe we shouldn't be together.
Yeah, I think the misunderstanding kind of falls on the verbal form of communication that people have with ownership, saying, you know, you're mine and I love you and you're always going to be mine. There's nowhere else you can go. I think that's where people get lost. They get lost in the verbal comments that they make, and think that, you know, it's more of a mental, you know, container that they're keeping them in.
Yeah.
Well, or maybe they even think it's romantic. You know, maybe they think it's romantic to be like, oh, you're mine. Nobody else can have you.
I think that is true, Mia. I think you're onto something there. I think that there's some people that really find that to be sexy and to feel like, no, my man wants me or my woman feels this way about me. And they don't necessarily see it. It can be very clouded when you're looking at it. And a lot of times it takes somebody on the outside, a friend, family member, whoever, to say, hey, something's not right here. Like, you know, you don't even see it for yourself because you can get so consumed in a relationship, especially if you're really in love.
Right. And don't confuse this with a dynamic of a dom and a sub or a BDSM relationship. That's completely different. That is completely consensual and both parties have discussed it. There's a contract most times. So don't confuse this with that. And that's not what we're discussing here. This is toxic behavior that we're discussing. And it's not something that both parties have discussed and are okay with. So let's not get those two confused, because as long as you're consenting and you've talked to your partner about it and you've discussed all the dynamics of it, then yes, go ahead and be in that controlling relationship. It's not always 24/7, can be sometimes, but you don't have to be in that relationship if it's not something you're consenting to.
Yeah, that's such a great point.
Have
either of you guys ever felt that way? Have you ever felt like you were, well, I know, Mia, you've been married forever, so that's a hard one.
No. Well, I mean,
oh, go ahead.
At some points I felt financially controlled because of me not having a job, and in our early marriage we struggled financially because we were both so young. So, you know, at times I felt financially controlled, but as I look back and I'm like, no, he wasn't. We were just trying to save money and I didn't want to.
Yeah. And luckily that's a positive for you guys, but that can be very negative for some people that are also financially controlled, especially if you are in a place where you might be trying to get out of a relationship or out of a marriage, and you feel this is kind of geared, unfortunately, to, you know, towards women, because if you're trying to get out the man is the moneymaker. He brings home the money and you don't have much of anything. And then you're trying to get out. I have friends that have been through that and they're like, Andrea, I don't know what to do. I don't have any money. I don't have my own car. He knows where I go all the time.
I get that. And I understand all of those fears. But if you truly want to get out and you truly want to be on your own and out of this toxic relationship, just do it. It's going to be scary no matter which way you do it.
Yeah.
Any way you walk away from that toxic relationship, because it is going to be manipulated for you to be back. He's going to say everything and he is going to love bomb you, or maybe she is going to love bomb you, because it goes both ways. It works with both sexes. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be toxic. And maybe you're looking at this and you're saying, oh my gosh, these are things that I do in my relationship. And I didn't realize I was doing them. And I thought they were okay behaviors because the other person hasn't responded negatively. You know, if you're looking at yourself right now and saying, oh my gosh, that's me, change. It's possible. Well, it's hard to change. It's not that hard to change.
Yeah, it takes you taking the first step. And once you do, then things start rolling and move into place. And sometimes it might be making a game plan, like sitting down and doing a checklist. What do I need to look at to get out of this certain situation? What does that look like? Where is my money right now? Do I have a job that I could get? Do I have somewhere to go? Do I have food somewhere? You just got to be prepared, planned, and then go for it.
And I know in some instances there's children involved. And, you have people you can fall back on when you don't even realize you can fall back on them. There are people out there willing to help you, whether it be within your church community, whether it be within your school community. You can always talk to the school counselor and explain the situation and be like, hey, I need resources to get out of a very bad situation for me and my children. There's always options to get out. You go to DCSS or whatever it's called, the child services in your local area, and they will help you and help you find a place to go. And if they can't, they will find somebody that can help you. So there's never really an excuse to stay, in my opinion. I know it's hard and it's difficult to try to get out of that situation. And I know it's very emotional and very, very, very scary for such a big change in such a short amount of time. But I promise you, if you're feeling unworthy, it is so worth it to love yourself and your children enough to walk away.
Yeah, I wanted to harp on something that Andrea said earlier. And commitment is not a possession. I want you guys to realize that it's a choice for someone to be committed to you, and it's a choice for you to be committed to someone else. So definitely, if you feel that you need to step away, that is a choice you make upon yourself to step away and leave that negativity in the past.
Yeah, such great points.
Absolutely. Possession can sometimes feel like love because they will love bomb you. They'll control you and saying, okay, you had this friend and you went out and I didn't like what you guys did together. So now you guys can't be friends. I feel uncomfortable. And this is a big one, is them using this phrase right here. I feel uncomfortable when you go out with so-and-so. Because it's not them feeling uncomfortable. It's them being toxic, because nobody, not even your spouse, should tell you who you can and cannot hang out with. That is up to you to determine who you can and cannot hang out with. So if you have somebody telling you, oh my gosh, you can't, even if you're going out and on the town and running it, getting drunk, causing a scene with this person, it's still not up to your spouse to make the decision you cannot go out with them. That is completely up to you to make bad decisions, not up to them to make them for you.
Naughty.
You are responsible for yourself, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
And they are responsible for themselves. But you do have to take their feelings into consideration. But it shouldn't stop a friendship. Maybe you just don't go out and get drinks with this person and you just go to lunch instead. But taking the friendship away completely is not okay. Changing your behavior to make them feel more comfortable is better. But if they're still controlling you and saying, hey, I still don't like that you're hanging out with this person, then that's not okay. That is definitely very toxic behavior. Nobody should control you that way.
I think sometimes it can come in other forms too. Like I've had, because quite often I'm the only single person in my group of friends, you know, they're all married. And I have noticed in the past, especially when I first became single, that there was more of my friends going, oh, well, you know, I can't go out with you tonight. My husband doesn't think we should go out there, or that we should, or that I should go out with you to do this, or is anybody else going? Because now the perception is that, oh, I'm single, I'm going to convert everybody else to be single with me, you know, and then they start getting controlling in that way, where they're like, well, I don't want you to go out with her anymore. And you know, you're kind of choosing your friends for her. There's
right.
nothing to do with that. So.
Yeah.
So you've been in that situation. TJ, have you been in that situation?
I want to say I have been in that situation. But it's actually funny because one of the man on the street questions, a guy answered it and I related completely to it. And it was about how, you know, in high school, you know, you had that relationship where you kind of fell in love with someone. It's your first love and you're just completely indulged in your first love and you completely lose the sense of the outside world. Completely lose the sense of, you know, friends, other relationships that you have going on, and they just completely fall off. And that's because you've committed yourself so much to being in love with this person and wanting to, you know, show devotion to this person. And I want to say that kind of is like a possessive thing. Not kind of, that is possessive because you've made yourself unavailable to the rest of the world, rather than, you know, being open with your partner and saying, hey, I do have friends that I do like to hang out with. Maybe our group of friends can get together. Who knows? But
right.
Definitely there's a conversation that needs to be had.
Yep, absolutely.
I agree. Communication. Communication. I don't know. You'll always hear that word from me.
I must be your sidekick on that one.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, the show Communication Heartstrings.
Communication Heartstrings. There we go. No.
Every time. They're wild. Well,
I know we've mentioned it just a few times, and clinginess. Clinginess is toxic behavior. I am extremely clingy.
Are you?
I am so clingy. It is
like
so
in what
bad.
way? In what way?
But so I don't know if you really consider. I like to spend all of our free time together.
Okay.
So like when he's not working or I'm not busy and working, I like to spend all of that time together. And I don't think that we need to go out and do things with other people when we spend that time together.
You don't want to?
No, I think it just needs to be alone time together, just me and him.
And how many times a week does that happen?
7 days a week.
Oh, we found our stage 5 clinger, people.
Yes, but he's okay with it.
Well, that's okay then.
Yeah,
it's like
that's
you're having your
he knows that about me, and it's something that it has happened over the years. I was not originally that way when we first started dating. It's just something we've gained friends and lost friends, and gained family and lost family, and we've just been through so much together that we know at the end of the day, we are going to be the only ones that are actually going to be there for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not worried about the rest of the world.
And that makes sense. As long as he's on board too. Like you guys aren't being forced to do it. Like you actually enjoy spending the time together.
I don't know. Sometimes he likes to get rid of me. That's how I get my nails and my hair done.
He's like, yes, please, go. Right? Like, I'll be right back. Don't
I
go
want to say, Mia,
anywhere.
you've been treated very well in your relationship, and that's great. But in some relationships,
Right.
this could be a major red flag.
Yes.
Mhm.
And let's just be real with ourselves. You know how much time you have on your social media, and how much space you can provide for someone in your relationships. Uh, I wanted to refer to my clinginess scale, if that's okay with you, ladies.
Please.
It actually refers to the behaviors and expectations related to closeness and dependence in a relationship, often assessed from low, where you're kind of independent, to a high where you're a stage 5 clinger, like Miss Mia up here. uh, I'm gonna give just a quick description of the different levels. So we have the low end where it's independent. This individual can end up on a scale and prefer significant space, autonomy, and may not require frequent communications or reassurance from a partner. Then you have your mid range, where this represents a balance of independence and connection, where individuals are comfortable with being solo and doing shared activities. And then our high level of clinginess. I've had so much trouble with saying this word all week. Clinginess. Individuals may end up experiencing anxiety when being apart from their partner, or seeking consistent reassurance, or having difficulty with individual activities, or maintaining any other relationships. Uh, I guess we have our stage 5 clinger at the top here. Andrea, where do you think you fall in?
Ah, I'm not clingy at all. No, I am. I totally am. Well, it's funny because as I was listening to you say those different types, I talk a lot about the attachment styles, which is very similar. So you have an anxious attachment style, you have an avoidant, and then you have a secure attachment style. And so the secure one is obviously not Mia. And so, I mean, not that you're not secure. Let me rephrase.
Right. I know.
You're in your relationship. But when you think of it, like if you think of an anxious attachment person, they're the ones that are like, somebody leaves and you think they're never coming back, or they.
Oh, that's not me.
Yeah, they don't text you for one day and immediately you're like, oh, they don't like me anymore. That was me for a while after my divorce, because you don't know how to like navigate everything, and so you start worrying about that stuff, right? So somebody like that. And then the avoidant is kind of like the person who's like, they can keep you at arm's length, but they still want to be a little clingy with you, but not totally. And so it's really hard to like navigate those, because sometimes you have somebody who's anxious with somebody who's avoidant. So the anxious is chasing this one and the avoidant's running, and then all of a sudden they give in and it starts all over again. So we all strive to be secure at some point. I know. And so it's so hard to answer your question, TJ, because I think I've kind of been through all phases at one point. I was very anxious attachment, and I can even relate that back to my childhood. I'm kind of finding out my sister and brother had a lot of personal, physical health issues. They're both disabled. And so my parents were always with them, and I was left alone a lot. So it gave me that anxiousness of like, if somebody leaves, they're just not coming back, or I'm not going to get to see them. And then I've kind of gone through the avoidant, and that's probably just me trying to be tough girl, like, yeah, I'm not that into you. And then I'm like, but I really am. So you're kind of like doing this push and pull, and we all strive to get to secure. I don't think anybody's 100% secure. I think we all have a little bit of it at some point, but that's where I'd like to be.
I will admit I am a level 5, but I am a considerate level 5, because if he says he needs time alone, I will leave him alone.
You give it to him for the entire time.
I'm respectful.
Are you like the cat that scratches at the door, like, let me in?
No.
No.
I'll
Are you
leave and
done
go
yet?
shopping.
Can I come in?
No.
I'd say for myself, I'm kind of a mid range. After growing up, I want to say when I was younger, I was definitely a high level clinginess, and that was more so because my girlfriend kind of lived around the corner from me. We went to school together, things of that nature. So I was always around her. But as I grew up, and people start to evolve as who we are, I started to realize that more people prefer to be kind of in the mid range, where they want a connection, but they don't want to be too connected. I still want to be able to, go out and have fun and live life, and still be able to come home and talk to you and tell you about what I've experienced this day. I want to say, although as I've been growing up a little bit more, I've started to come on that lower end also, where I'm just kind of like, if love doesn't come my way, I mean, unfortunately, I'm in a relationship right now, but well, fortunately, I'm in a relationship right now. But I want to say, but I've been on that low end scale where I'm just like, you know, if love comes to me, it comes to me, but I can completely do bad by myself.
I love that.
All right, viewers, we want to know your level of clinginess. Let us know in the chat what you think you are. Don't yell at me for being super clingy. Now I'm feeling bad about it, guys.
No.
So let's talk about how to be less clingy.
Oh, good
let's
idea.
talk about giving ourselves our personal time and giving ourselves some self-care and some self-love. So we like to spend a lot of time with our partners. Of course we do. We love them. We've picked them because of their personality. They make us laugh. They make us feel good. So we do want to spend that time with them, but at the same time, we do need that personal time. Going out to lunch by yourself, I hate it. I despise it. I will go and get lunch and sit in my car and eat it to do it by myself, but I won't go sit in a restaurant by myself. I've only done it twice. I feel uncomfortable.
It is a weird feeling. Yeah, I totally agree.
Or ladies, you can go get your nails done, your toes done, your hair done. I mean,
but is
that's
that just
personal self-love and self-care.
Is that just a distraction from your clinginess, though?
No, it's to make up for my clinginess.
Okay. I can admit I am not the one to sit in a restaurant also by myself. I just feel like the whole room's looking at me.
Yeah.
Look at this guy with no friends.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh, that I tense up.
Especially when the hostess goes, "We have a party of one to the flag."
I just consider the bar.
Yeah,
Smart.
I would totally do that too. I've actually been told to do that a lot if I want to meet somebody kind of out in the wild, is to go to a bar and sit up there. Even if you just bring your laptop and you're doing work, having a glass of wine, that's probably what I would do. And then just, people tend to just migrate towards you.
All around.
Yeah. Or they start conversations and stuff. I think you can do a lot of things on your own too. I mean, I'm a prime example.
Tip.
Yeah, well, I'm always kind of doing stuff on my own, but I like to, go to the beach and go for a walk, or, I've been trying to join groups. Like I like to play pickleball. So finding groups, things to do outside of it, go work out. You can find like classes.
Without your partner.
Without your partner.
On your own, without your partner. You can find things to do with them later.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So I think that's
you come back and get sweaty, all sweaty. You guys can take a shower together after you both had your independent personal time.
Yeah, exactly.
My personal time does not require any sweatiness, but it does require, some alone time. You can do this in a group or, by yourself. And I prefer to go to the movies, go check out a film.
I go to the movies by myself.
Oh my gosh, checking out, just a random movie, feeling curious that day, just to go sit there and, indulge completely in a whole new experience is one thing I do.
I considered seeing Formula One a date with Brad Pitt, so I was fine with that. He knew I was coming.
Yes.
I guess
what happens, Mia? Tell me this. What happens when somebody who's too clingy or in control of somebody is a result from maybe cheating?
Okay, so it can result from a few things, I think. I think a big one is cheating. I really think that if you've been cheated on in the past, you become extra clingy with that next potential love. because you want to do everything right this time to make it work. And you have less trust because of your previous toxic relationship. So yes, I think cheating does play a big part, and it's not something you can truly help at that point. Not until the trust is built within the relationship. And how is that done, guys?
Communication.
I'm gonna make a song called Communication now.
If we communicate all of our negative thoughts and feelings with our partner, they're going to be able to not only reassure us, but also know that things that they're doing are making you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're doing the same in return, and you're not offended by that. When your partner is communicating with you, you need to listen and not be offended, because these are personal feelings coming from them and how they feel, not how you feel. And you will never know exactly how your partner feels until they tell you. You can never determine that.
So I've got a question for you, ladies, real quick. Can clinginess, be considered toxicity to a point when you're coming from, that type of relationship where you've been cheated on?
Yeah. Well, I think so. I think it can be it's a very slippery slope, because if you've been cheated on in a previous relationship and then you're entering into a new one, you are, of course, like Mia said, going to be probably over the top. You're going to be trying to find any red flags up front. You're going to be constantly watching for little things that tipped you off, right? And then you're trying to earn that trust and everything. But you have to be really careful there, because the new person that you're with deserves to have trust from day one, and they deserve a clean slate. They don't deserve somebody coming in bringing baggage from another relationship. And to me, if you are coming in doing that and you are like, with all this clinginess, you have not done the work on yourself. You should have taken the time to really work on yourself, talk to a therapist, find out where you're at with your feelings, talk to family members, friends, really get it out. And then you can start putting yourself back out there to date, because you need to be emotionally available as well. You've been traumatized by this. And so something has to be done before you can just move into another one and think you're now going to traumatize this other person.
I love that you said that. I absolutely love that you said that. Moving from a relationship with a cheater should never, ever happen immediately. You need to take time to heal yourself, to love yourself, because of course we can never love anybody unless we love ourselves first, because we don't know what true love is unless we love ourselves.
Right.
So you need to be in that healthy mental state. Be open and willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. You don't know if they've ever cheated on someone, and believing words out of somebody else's mouth is never okay. You need to know for a fact and have proof before you can call somebody a cheater. I'm sorry. There are so many people that are called cheaters that have never cheated a day in their life. Me being one of them.
They called it?
Oh yeah, all the time. Just because I'm a flirty person, everybody assumes.
Yeah.
So assuming something is just making an ass out of you and me, like I tell my kids. So never assume anything about anyone.
That's a good one. Yes.
I got a quick question from the comments from April Jap Hates TJ. And she said, when is it the right time to show your clinginess?
After it's been discussed. After you have communicated, hey, and this should happen in the beginning. If you know you're clingy, they need to know too, because it is such a big, big turn off for so many people. For so many people.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't even know on that one. That's
You
weird.
don't know? You don't know.
I don't know. And it's, wait, reword it for me, TJ. Read the comment again for me. Let me hear it.
So April Jap Hates TJ says, when is it the right time to show your clinginess, basically?
The right time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is there a right time for it? Like at what, because then you're misleading as well. So you go into it and you're like, okay, I know I'm a stage 5 clinger, but I'm going to go into it and not be. And then I'm going to let him see the real me after a little bit.
No, don't do that either. No, don't be your authentic self. Definitely be your authentic self. Don't ever put up a front for anyone. If you're clingy, admit to it. Seriously.
Some dudes really like it in the beginning. I'm gonna be honest.
Right? They like a clinger?
I mean, when you find that girl that's like all for you, you're like, oh yeah, this is perfect. And then you start to realize maybe it's a little too much. You never really know until you start to dive in.
I think it depends on how hot she is, TJ. I think that's what determined. There you go.
I'm adorable. It's okay.
That's what determines the level of clinginess a man is willing to accept.
Oh, his hotness scale?
Her hotness scale.
I mean, so many other ways.
I might accept a little more than I normally would if he's coming in top 10, I might be like, oh, that's so cute. But after a while, you're going to be like, all right, get off. Like, it's going to be a little bit too much,
So is it wrong for a man to show clinginess in the beginning?
No, absolutely not. But I am a physical touch person. I mean, touch me all the time. I don't care.
But I think there's such a difference there, Mia, between physical touch and clinginess, because I love physical touch, and I love that. I love holding hands. I love the little kiss on the shoulder or anything like that. But I don't think of that as being clingy. Now, if he was more clingy in a controlling way, like, come sit next to me, or like, wanting to go with me everywhere, no, that's a turn off for me for multiple reasons. One, that's just wrong. But two, I don't know, that just takes away a man's manliness, his masculinity, when he is very clingy to me.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Walking down a winding road, I see the sun that glows in every crack, in every stone where wildflowers grow. The whispers of the wind, they tell a tale of time. Every broken heart's a lesson dressed in quiet rhyme. Tangled heart strings pull and tear, they guide us through the haze. Every note a melody that plays through all our days. Find the strength in every chord, the courage to let go. Life's a song we're writing slow through highs and every low. The river runs its course, it bends but never breaks, just like the choices that we make, the chances that we take. A violin begins to hum, it weaves a silver thread through symphonies of sorrow and the words we've left unsaid. Tangled heartstrings pull and tear, they guide us through the haze. Every note a melody that plays through all our days. Find the strength in every chord, the courage.
I think clinginess is a sign of being insecure. And people can become insecure when you're too independent, for sure, or you don't really learn to understand what their needs are. Some people need somebody to say how great they are, how much you love them, how great they are, what they look like and stuff like that. And other people who are fiercely independent don't need that. So you have to understand what that other person needs and provide it, even though it's not your thing. Clinginess can be suffocating, for sure, way too much. And it's hard to find that attractive for sure. But I think a lot of it is self-confidence. And it's hard to build up somebody else's self-confidence, but there's ways to not undermine it.
I hear that.
So in togetherness terms, I guess when you like feel, I guess when you start to feel like you can't be without them, like a anxiousness in a way where it's like you just have to either physically hold on to them or emotionally always be with them. Again, I think sometimes when people are so in love, naturally it happens. But again, I think there should be a healthy space where it's like you are confident with who you are and with yourself, and then you have that space together. But some people like clinginess or not, so no judgment. So
I think if you don't have those things that you do without your partner is when it becomes a little clingy. Or if you can't think of something that you would want to do that maybe they don't necessarily enjoy. It is important for you to have your own things that you like, your own hobbies, your own friend groups. You don't always have to do things together as a couple, even though you're a couple. So I think just having that space is pretty important.
How about you, Aaron? You got an answer for that one?
Not really. I think in the past I was the clingy person. So when I would start to sense the other person being like, ew, get away from me, that's when I knew I was being clingy.
When you feel helpless without that person, it's a bit of a tough feeling to get away from sometimes. If you're spending so much time with someone, you're like, what do I do now that I'm not with this person?
Yeah, no, I agree with him.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What do you clarify for me? What is helplessness?
Just a lack of knowing what to do when you're not with that other person. So if you, for example, if you have an activity planned with some other person, every time you go out, and then the second you get back, you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do now?
Okay, so you guys don't have that rope from each other's house that you guys zip line across to see each other all the time.
No, unfortunately not.
I've said that we should set it up a few times. He's not down for it.
I'll just say anytime they get uncomfortable. Like, I feel like a lot of people in a relationship, they allow themselves to get into like the mentality of what they think a relationship should be. But we gotta understand that we got the freedom to decide that for ourselves. You know what I mean? So anytime something is uncomfortable, I feel like you should speak on it. You know what I mean? It might be uncomfortable, it might be whatever, but you gotta just speak on it. Because once you make it a habit of going along with stuff that is not comfortable for you, you giving that person a green light, and then you putting yourself in a bind where it's like, I gotta keep putting up with this, and then it's like it's clingy. But I've had, many situations where you gotta just, hey, I'm not feeling that. Ultimately, if you're gonna keep doing this, it's not gonna work. And if they rocking with you heavy, then they gonna change it. You know what I mean? But if not, they gonna keep trying to push that line. So that's what I say. You gotta have firm boundaries with everybody.
Exactly what I was alluding to, man. So I'm gonna piggyback off of that. A woman I was dating told me that I was one of very few men that she dated that had their own boundaries. And she probably is very right about that. Where I was saying, hey, I'm okay with this. I'm not okay with that. This is cool with me. I'm not okay with that. I guess men just kind of go for what they can go for. Yeah. They can get the end result that they want to get, as opposed to laying down the law on the things that, they're okay with and they're not. And that's perfectly fine, So just make sure that you do have boundaries, have some self-awareness, right? You got to know yourself enough to be in a relationship with someone, as opposed to trying to figure that out in a relationship. A lot of times the relationship's not going to end well. So know yourself enough to know what your do's and don'ts are, what your non-negotiables are, and then be able to communicate that and mature enough to communicate that respectfully to your partner, so that there's an understanding there and that those lines don't get crossed. And then when you need the space, you communicate that so that you don't feel like you're being clung on, and just make sure you're not doing that either. You should be still chilling with your homies. You should still be, if you play ball or whatever it is you do that's extracurricular, still do those things even though you got your girl. We done seen this was more teenage years. A lot of the guys, they get these girls and now they don't know they homies no more. They with their girl all day, every day. And I'm like, do you? But now you start losing yourself. So I think that's number one. Keep doing what you've been doing, you know, and allow your lady to add to your life and not take away from.
Or take over.
Or take over even, yeah. Because they will if you let them.
For sure.
Yeah, they will if you let them.
All right.
The place through all our days. Find the strength in every chord, the courage to let go. Life's a song we're writing slow through highs and every low. Yo, it's the echoes of the past, the lessons in the cracks. We're patching up the holes in all the love we lack. Life's a dance, a crazy chance to waltz beneath the moon. Keep the rhythm steady, cause the dawn is coming soon. So take a bow and play your part, no matter how it stings. The world will turn, the tune will change, but love's what always clings. The violin, it softly cries, the stars begin to fall. Through tangled heart strings we will rise, we'll conquer after all. Tangled heartstrings pull and tear, they guide us through the haze. Every note a melody that plays through all our days. Find the strength in every chord, the courage to let go. Life's a song we're writing slow through highs and every low.
All right, guys, I know we discussed this a little bit earlier, but I really wanted to come back to it because it's kind of close to my heart. When we're truly in love with somebody, we want to spend all of our free time with that person. Clingy, that's me. When we aren't working, we're with each other. Trust me, I've been there, I've done that. And up until a few months ago, that's how my life was. Me and my husband spent every free moment together when he was not at work because I did not work. We were together a lot more than what we are now. I lost myself. I lost my sense of identity in that situation. So I was more worried about making his lunch and making sure that he was taken care of and taking care of the kids and, you know, making sure that all of the house stuff was done. And I wasn't taking care of myself. And that kind of what can happen. And this is why I believe it's toxic behavior. And I've noticed it and I've stepped back from it some. I'm still super clingy because I still want to spend a lot of time with him because, yes, of course, I do love him. But I spent so much time with him, I lost myself. And that's one thing that I would not want to see another woman go through. And now that I am healed and I am better and we're spending less time together, I mean, I went away for an entire week. I have not done that in 8 years. So, and it feels really good to say that, you know, I spent an entire week away and it helped us so much. You know, that alone time, you know how you hear that saying, when you're apart, your heart will grow fonder.
Yeah, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yes, that's it. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. I forgot the words. Anyways, so being apart makes that love stronger and the clinginess less is what I'm trying to get at. So spending that time apart, spending that alone time, the personal time, self-care time, whatever you want to call it, spending that time away from your partner is super, super important. So you don't lose yourself. Don't lose your self identity. Don't lose the things that you love to do. I mean, I quit doing a lot of things that I love to do because he didn't enjoy doing them. And I wanted to spend the time with him. So of course I'm going to stop doing what I love doing so I can spend that time with him, not realizing that I was hurting myself in the long run.
Yeah. Well, and that's what, they said, the man on the street said that you want somebody to come into your life that's going to complement you, right? Like you don't want them to come in and totally take you away from your family, your friends, where you're constantly doing things. You each want to have your own life. You do your own independent things. And then when you do come together, it's so amazing to get to spend that time together. And then you really work on your quality time. That's important.
Yeah, I think people tend to unnotably lose themselves. I actually was one of these people that did that in college. Actually, I fell in love with a complete stranger, and she kept telling me I was toxic, and I never knew why, because I was completely open and loving to her, and it took me a while to realize that I was just being very overbearing, and always wanting to spend every waking moment, even though we were down the hall from each other, every waking moment with her, and I lost out on that relationship, but it definitely taught me a lot. And
Is that why it ended? Because she felt like that was like the
no, she graduated, parted ways,
yeah.
probably too many states away from each other. But it was a very, very emotional breakup. I think she was realizing that she was losing a good, kind man, but also, I realized that I needed to do some more maturing.
Yeah. Oh, that's good realization, self-realization. I like that though.
Absolutely. Maturing is important, and sometimes we take a little bit longer to mature, and that's okay. And then our first step in this is admitting that we're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That we are the wrong person in the relationship. And I admitted I was very toxic about how clingy I was, and I've stepped back from it. Of course I have. I'm spending my alone time now, and I'm getting to know who I am as a person rather than who I am with my husband or who I am as a mom. So I'm learning who I am as a person now at 40 some years old, when I could have done this years ago if I wasn't so clingy.
Yeah. But you're more mature now, and you have that different mindset now, and you understand now. So it might have been totally different then.
Being respectful of your partner's personal time is super, super important. Not only for them to be respectful of yours, but when they're asking for it, you also need to let them step away when they need to, whether you're ready for it to happen or not. And being clingy can cause problems there also, because then you're not wanting them to step away.
Very true.
All right. We all have this picture perfect way our relationship will work out, the order it will progress, how long we will wait to hold hands, when we'll allow the first kiss to happen, and when will we hop into bed. Don't forget the condoms. Please don't forget the condoms. We most likely don't want 18 years with this person if we're just sleeping with them. Throw that all away. Throw it all away. Life doesn't work that way. When has anything ever went the way you have planned it? Ever. I've never had anything happen the exact way I have planned it at all.
Yep.
Have you guys had that happen before, where you've planned something in your head and it's just every little aspect of what you've wanted it to do?
Every date I go on, I plan it ahead of time. I'm like ready. I'm like, and that's been a struggle to let go of the expectations and just to let things happen. I am a planner, and so I'm always kind of thinking ahead. Like, okay, so if he if he does this, if he comes in and tries to kiss me, will I kiss him tonight? If he tries to make a move of something else, am I going to do this? It's so hard not to, and I've really had to just take a step back and just let things happen as they will. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And I'm going to not have any control over that regardless. So I get so worked up about it. Just try not to.
That's right. We need to allow our relationships to progress in a more natural way. Don't force it to happen. And if it's not happening when you think you're ready and your partner is holding back, don't forget that big C word. What is it, guys? Communication.
Oh, sorry.
You should already be doing this to begin with. Tell them how you're feeling. Let them know you're ready to progress. Or maybe they're moving too fast and you need to let them know, hey, let's slow down. You know, let's hold hands before we hop in bed. Because, you know, that first date, sometimes it happens on the first date, guys. Guess what? That's okay. That is called a test drive, and you are allowed to take anything on a test drive.
Whoa. Okay.
Whoa.
Dealership. Come on down to Mia's Auto Shop.
Right? We'll fix anything. It's okay.
No, but I do like the test drive narrative. That is one way I've never looked at it. You know, you never know.
Well, I mean, I think sex is really important in a relationship. I think it, you know, to feel truly loved and the intimacy behind sex and the feelings that come with sex, I think it's a huge part of our relationship. And I think that, yes, we do need to sleep with the person that we want to be with for the rest of our lives before we marry them. Not on our wedding night after we find out that they suck in bed.
Right.
I mean, how good of a relationship is that going to be? Yes, he's fulfilling in all other ways, but where's the sex? And if you're an intimate person, you're going to want the sex. So take them for a test drive.
Yeah, I also thought about how the test drives, you know, could be, you know, after it's over with, if the feelings were true.
Right, exactly. I mean, you're gonna know right away if there's chemistry there.
Mm-hmm.
It may be uncomfortable for you to have sex on the first date, and it may make you feel self-conscious. Don't do it then if you're not comfortable.
Yeah.
Don't ever do anything you're not comfortable with. So wait until the third or fourth date. But I highly suggest have sex with them before you marry them, not on the wedding night and find out that they suck in bed. Please. So many marriages end so early because of this, and the divorce rate is already ridiculous. Let's not make it because of sex.
Yeah, I definitely agree, Mia. I'm not like a first date sex kind of girl, but I do not agree with waiting too long either, because I don't want to waste somebody's time. I am turned off by a bad kisser. So if the sex is like bad, I'm out. And I find it really hard. I mean, I understand, I'm a Christian. I understand all of that about, you know, waiting for marriage. I think it's a little antiquated at this point, because I think that's the way it used to be back in the day. I don't think my mom and dad were having sex on their first date when, you know, in 1945 or whatever, you know.
Oh, so, girl, you just don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, but I cannot imagine personally marrying somebody at this point and then getting into bed with them for the first time, not knowing even what they like, what they don't like. They don't know me. What I'm always said, what if it is too small, too big? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Right. Let's talk about it. Too big.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Too big. Yes. Gentlemen, there is such thing as it being too big. Sometimes in some women, it will not fit because our anatomy is not compatible with yours. And that's okay.
Yes, it is okay. There is such thing as too big. I'm on your train, Mia.
I'm sorry. I am sorry. But I don't think there's such thing as too small, because you can compensate in other ways. Too big can hurt. It can cause health problems. Too small, you have a hand, baby. Let's figure this out.
Yeah, but that's not, to me, that's not a sex life, though.
But if every other aspect of the relationship is good, and he can perform and satisfy you with his hand rather than his penis, I don't see a problem with it.
And that's fine. And your small may not be my small. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
exactly.
what I think. TJ, you want to join in on this?
I'm gonna just, hold it down.
Tired of the people? Is that what we're doing?
There you go.
I'm gonna hold it down for this one.
I'm being realistic here. It's not something that they can control.
Yeah.
Whether it's too big or too small. There are women out there for you bigger men because their anatomy is going to be compatible with yours. But you going after these little tiny women doesn't always work out. I promise
that myself. Yep.
I do recall being with somebody one time that put my hand down his pants before anything happened and said, just so you know what you're about to get yourself into. And I'm like,
and you walked away, right?
I'm out. Peace out.
Love you, bye.
Yeah, you're crazy.
It's funny you said that because I've had a girl come up and grope me before like that and just
to check it out.
Yeah, we were talking and she was like, I want to see what you're packing, and then she walked away and I was like, whoa, what happened here? The conversation was going well here.
Now, is that intimidating? Because I can't imagine a guy doing that to me on my chest and going, "Oh, let me just see what we're dealing with here before we get started."
Are they fake? Are they real?
Yeah,
I think got better visual with the breasts rather than what's going on down in the pants.
I mean, I don't think that it would be appropriate to walk up to a stranger and be like, hey, let me check out your package and see how big you are. And then I will speak to you. No, come on. Have a conversation first, ladies. Come on.
Come on. At least say hello.
Right? Gentlemen, conversation first. And I'm sure the same thing goes in same-sex relationships. That there is a too big baby. Just
has to be.
Yes, absolutely.
Where the rules are set for life.
I'm sorry to you bigger gentlemen to hurt your feelings, but I'm so sorry. But it's possible. I'm so sorry. I'm not really.
Oh, that's funny.
We're good. We're not tooting our horns over here. All right, guys.
That's where communication comes in once again. We're communicating our sizes before we're having sex, so we're not embarrassed when they say, oh my God, that's not going to fit, or oh, that's not going to work for me.
Well, then when's the right time to communicate your size? That's the question.
Maybe when you guys start discussing about going back to the apartment.
Okay.
Maybe you do like
to my room. And be like, hey, by the way, I'm 12 inches.
Heard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think you could do in the olden days where you do the little box. Are you too big? Yes. Are you too small? Yes. Maybe. Is there a maybe section? We could be like Three Bears and Goldie Cox, right?
Maybe we can put this in our dating profile.
Yeah.
You attract the ones you want.
I got an idea. We can do, how they do like the inseam of your pants? Ask what's the inseam of your pants?
Oh. And then wait, what?
Depending on the inseam of your pants, that it's about the length of your cockadoodle.
Nice. It's not the foot, ladies. Do not determine it by the feet or the hands. That is not true. I don't care what anybody says. That shit is not true.
I did go out with somebody who was too big, and I could not continue to go out with him because there is a limit, just like we said. I mean, it just becomes painful, and I do feel bad because a lot of guys kind of think that like, oh, I've got the biggest package and whatever, and some can handle it. That's fine, but some of us have very narrow hips, and we just don't have room for that in there, or small mouths.
All right, we've got some comments. Let me answer Sunday Precious. Can I marry my ex that is married? If they are currently married, depending on which country you're in, it depends on those laws if you can marry them. And if the other person that is currently married to them is okay with it, I don't see a problem with it. If that is something that's going to work in your relationship. But if you're in America, no, you cannot. marry your ex that is currently married. You cannot be married to two people at once in the United States of America. And then Princess Allison says, I wanted to have sex with my boyfriend, and he said he wanted to do a twosome. That is with me and another lady. Okay, honey. Princess Allison, that is called a threesome. And as long as you are consenting, baby, go right ahead and go with it. If you do not want to do it and you are uncomfortable with it, then absolutely say no.
Yes. I just want to piggyback on that one, Mia, because yes, you definitely need to be fully comfortable with that, because if you're not, you don't want to just do it because he wants it and you're going to make him happy. You have to be okay in it as well, because that can steer it down so many different paths. And then all of a sudden now you're opening Pandora's box. If you're not ready to do that, I would not until you're ready and have full conversations, rules set, game plan down. See, I'm a planner. Plan that shit.
Communication. As long as you guys are communicating and you both want it to happen. Well, actually not both. All three of you are consenting. You, your boyfriend, and the third party. You all need to be consenting. But I'm not sure if it's a good idea if you're not comfortable.
I'll say, Allison, flip the role on him, you know?
And also, if you are being pressured into it, if he's saying, oh, you'll love me or you don't love me because you won't do this for me, then absolutely walk away, girlfriend, because that's controlling behavior. And we talked about that earlier in this episode, that controlling behavior is not okay. It is toxic. So if he's saying that, hey, you know, if you don't do this, then we can't be together, then say, see you later, bye.
TJ, that was a great point that you just made. Say that again.
Oh yeah, I was saying to flip the role on him, see how he will feel with you adding another man into the situation.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's never okay.
He might never ask you again. I don't, depending on him. He probably will never
ask him for a foursome. Just join, have another couple join in, and then you're both satisfied with it. I don't know. That's completely up to you. But make sure you're talking about it. You're consenting to it first.
Yes.
Everyone involved is consenting.
Yes.
All right, we're going to talk about it. It's summertime. It's hot outside. How are we going to stay hot and healthy in the bedroom when it's so freaking hot outside?
Ooh-wee.
We've spent the whole day outside in the sun and we're tired, but it's been a few days and your significant other is feeling neglected in the bedroom. What are we going to do? What do you think we should do?
I'm saying we're going to sweat on each other, all right?
Get some ice cubes.
We're going to sweat it out together, baby.
First, we're going to be safe and we're going to both go take a shower together. Hopefully, it's a cold shower so we can both cool off. That's the first step in keeping it hot and healthy in the bedroom. Yes. We do not want to mix our sweats because it can cause infections in women, especially. It can cause bacteria infections. And I am a cleanliness person. You are going to take a shower.
You don't sweat during sex with your husband.
That's different. You done washed all the dirt from the day off. That is so different.
The outside sweat as opposed to the inside.
Yes. That is totally different, and that is okay because we're taking a shower afterwards anyway.
So, okay, let me give this random scenario, Mia, and you tell me if you would do this. Hello to you guys that are all joining us. Hello. So, Mia, okay. Say you guys are outside, you're working, he's doing some stuff in the yard, you're gardening like you do. And then the two of you are like, you're like, you know, kind of eyeing each other. You're looking over at him. You're in your little Daisy Duke, bending over, doing the little gardening, TJ. And
In
then
the
you
garden,
guys
really?
get into the garage and you just happen to have a little fun in there. It's hot, you're sweaty, but you're enjoying it.
If it is that spontaneous, okay, if it is that spontaneous and we get in the mood that quickly, then we're showering right afterwards to keep ourselves from getting any infections.
That's awesome. All right. You played along. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we're washing ourselves to keep it hot and healthy. Healthy is important.
Also, be careful what you guys do in the shower.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. No soap involved at all. No soap involved. All that needs to be rinsed off first. Please. Please, please, please.
Yes. They don't realize that can cause problems.
Exactly. We don't think about those things. And ladies, I know in the summertime we are sweating so much more. So keeping up with some probiotics can help us keep it nice and slick and healthy down there. So taking a few probiotics, I can never say the word right, will help you with your dryness from the dehydration sweat. I know we don't all deal with it, but especially ladies that are getting up there in age do have a problem with that. So gentlemen, if for some reason it feels a little bit dry down there, there is a reason behind it. It is a health reason. Go buy her some probiotics. Let her feel happy and healthy. And don't forget the lube. Don't ever have sex with it being dry.
Take
Thank you, Ruby. Okay. Nelson is asking, would you rather have a partner who loves you more for who you hold on?
If you love them more, or would you
who loves you more, or if you love them more? Okay. I think it should be equal love. I know it doesn't always feel that way, but certain times in life, your love will change for your partner. Being with somebody for so long, I was so deeply, madly in love with this man when I first met him. And for the first few years, it was that way. And he was deeply, madly in love with me. But when we started having children and spending more time with my children to take care of them and raising them, and him being away at work, our love kind of changed a little bit. And my love more focused on the kids. Not that I didn't love him, but it was more focused on the children at the time. And as we've gotten older and realized, we're going to be together forever, we need to mature enough to love each other enough and be able to show that love enough to each other to where we're both comfortable and happy. And that happens with, what's the word, guys? Communication.
So my mom always told me to find somebody that loves me more than I love them, because she felt that they will always be, they'll always have that love for you. When somebody's really in love with you like that, you feel that. You can definitely feel that, So that's how I've kind of always tried to be. It doesn't always happen for sure. But that's how I always try to be. So I don't know. And then I see, and Wed Nelson says, how do you know when it's time to walk away? You'll know. I think you'll know. I don't think anyone can tell you but yourself. And when you've had enough, when you don't feel the love, you've got to look at where you're at in your life. Are you okay with where you are right now? If everything stayed exactly as it is right now for the rest of your life, would you be happy?
I look at it this way. If you woke up tomorrow and you were to never see the person you are with today, how would you feel? If you feel like you would be okay, then it's time for you to walk away. If you feel like you can't survive without this person, then that's who you're supposed to be with.
Yeah, and then you got to put in the work.
Well, absolutely. To answer the comments question, this guy actually just said, I love this girl and I was spending time on her, but then she instantly disappeared. what should I do? And I think you just answered this question. If that person isn't showing you the same attention that you had in the beginning, it's time to move on. And more times than not, you'll notice they'll come running back.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Wizzy asks, what's more important, communication or loyalty? Communication, because communication comes first and loyalty is a learned behavior. You learn to be loyal to somebody through communication, love, trust, support. That loyalty is an earned aspect. Communication is a respected aspect and should be done with everybody within your life.
Mm-hmm.
Nelson just said, would you date someone your family doesn't approve of?
Would you, TJ?
Yeah. I think I think, just like, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, love's in the heart of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
So if you truly love someone and you truly care for this person, I think it shouldn't matter what your family thinks of them or your friends think of them. It's truly about what you think about this person.
The only caveat I would give to that would be as if there's something going on, like what we talked about earlier, like control, something like that, where your family and friends are seeing something that you don't truly see and they're trying to help you to see that. You just need to go into this relationship and be in it with your eyes wide open and be open to hearing what other people are saying and then acknowledge it and see, okay, is that truly the way they're being? Or is it just because sometimes people are jealous as well, and it can come from that, where they're just maybe jealous about your situation and they don't necessarily want you to be happy.
Okay, Irene is asking, what is your definition of a healthy relationship? That is where you are feeling truly fulfilled and loved on all aspects of your life. Is this person a compliment to you and not a burden? That is the definition of a healthy relationship. If they are burdening you, then it's not healthy.
Yeah. For me, it's really important to feel seen and heard in a relationship. Like I like my person to want to know more about me, to have conversations that we're connecting on every level and learning more about each other every day and doing things to make each other happy. So you're kind of putting somebody else first in your mind. And I love that. I think that's very healthy.
But not putting them first
before
so much to where you lose yourself either.
All right. So we got another question really quickly. I kind of want to hear some experiences about you guys. It says, what does it feel like to go on your first date? So I want to say, Mia, for you, what was your first date with your husband? And then Andrea, what was your first date overall?
Our first official date was to go see the J-Lo movie, The Cell, in the theaters. And I believe it opened on my birthday that year, but that was our first official date. We had been hanging out for months before.
Wow. Well, for me, let's see. Okay, you guys are knowing me by now. I'm dating because I'm single. So I've had quite a few first dates. For me, more recently, I had a really great first date, and we just went to play pickleball, actually. Usually I'm kind of more the let's go for coffee or meet for a drink. I don't really do the dinner thing so much anymore, just to kind of get to know them. But we decided we both like to play pickleball. We're like, hey, why don't we meet up and just play? And it turned out to be so fun because another couple joined in. So we became partners and we were, high-fiving and a little tap on the butt or something. It was just like a cute, fun, flirty time. And I left there going, that was so great because I got to see how he was in his own element doing his thing. And he got to see me and we had just a really good connection that way. So that was fun.
All right. Lizzie is asking, I think this is an important one. How do you define cheating? I'm going to answer that. Cheating is doing anything behind your partner's back without their consent. There is a huge following of swingers. And these are consenting couples allowing their partners to sleep with somebody else. But if you are not a consenting partner, you are not a swinger, and they are going behind their back, hiding text messages, hiding DMs to girls and they're not telling you about them. Communication, guys, communication. Opening up and communicating is so important. If you are doing anything behind it, and it doesn't matter if it is actually with an individual or even AI. AI can be considered cheating these days at this point because you're having these deep emotional relationships with these AI chatbots. And I mean, sometimes some of them you're able to sex with. So, and some people consider porn cheating. I don't consider it cheating as long as you're openly communicating it with me.
And
you know, don't go behind my back and look up something and get enthralled in it and not tell me about it.
Well, and then you're not watching porn. And then you're not watching porn all the time, and then you're not being intimate with your partner. You can bring it in so that it's something for you to enjoy together.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I like the question that asked, should couples, it's from Nelson again. You got good questions today, Nelson. Should couples have access to each other's phones?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You should have access to your partner's phone, but you shouldn't feel the need to pick it up. There should be enough trust in your relationship that you have your partner's code to get into their phone, but you should never have to use it.
I can be torn on that one. Like, I am not huge on, but I'm also not in any kind of serious relationship, right? So I'm not, if I'm just dating, no, you don't need to be looking at my phone. I don't give my passcode. I don't give any of that, because the problem is when you're dating, you're likely dating more than one person. You could be, or if you dig enough, you are always going to find something. You pretty much always are. And so you don't want to start something off on the wrong foot. But now once you are in an established relationship and you're committed, yeah, I think it's okay to have each other's, passcodes, but don't make it as a, let me check up on you and constantly see what you're doing. It's more of an emergency. Like, hey, if I need something, then I'll get into it. That's how I feel.
Yeah, that's
I agree.
Kind of the same realm I'm in, where it's not really that we're looking for anything, because I can go back and read your old deleted messages from 2014 if I wanted to. But it's more so if it's on a necessity level. If I needed to find some way to get in touch with someone when you're driving, things of that nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, one last question, guys. Rena Peace asks, do you think people can change in a relationship? Yeah, absolutely. We change every single day as an individual. You are never the same person from 1 minute to the next. So yes, relationships change people. Things change people. Life changes people.
Mm-hmm. But if you are meaning, can you change someone in a relationship? Like, meaning, can you change a person? You should never go into it thinking that you can change them. Very unlikely to happen. These are all good questions. Oh my goodness.
I had a good question from Irene, and she said, "Do you guys believe in love at first sight?"
I don't.
Personality means so much to me. Personality can change a look of somebody. You can be absolutely gorgeous, and I will think you are the worst looking person in the world if you have a horrible personality.
I think, yeah, I don't believe in love at first sight. I believe in lust at first sight. I think that you can see someone, you're attracted to them, you're turned on by them. You might think it's love. I think that love is like progresses over time and it becomes something.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's more lust.
Love changes so much over time too. Like I mean, out of experience, 24 years, my love does not feel the same for my husband as it did when not that it's any less, but as it did when we first fell in love. And did I fall in love with him when I first met him? Absolutely not. I didn't. It's something I need to create an intimate relationship with somebody before, and not necessarily a sexual relationship. I need to have that emotional connection with somebody before I can feel any type of love for anyone.
Yeah. That's why it's always shocking to me. I'm like, I don't know if you guys watch reality shows, but like The Bachelor or something.
Yeah.
This is all done like in a 3-week time frame, and they're already like, I'm falling in love with you. I'm falling in love with you. And you're like, how? You don't even know me. And I've said that multiple times. You don't even know somebody for a good 6 to 8 months. So how can you possibly be in love with them? I just think it takes time to get to that space. And why rush it?
I know, right? Wizzy, I got shut down. We cannot have me a matchmaker. I'm trying to convince them. I promise you I am. Because how much would I love to set people up and watch it just turn into a shit show, to be honest with you.
No, that sounds like 90
I've got
Day
people
Fiancé.
telling me, no, it's not going to happen.
No. Well, I see a question here. It's a similar question from a Bates Slim and Ezekiel Godwin, pretty much asking if it's okay for a female to approach a guy. Hell yeah. We're in 2025. It sure is. Now, I think there's, I'll just speak personally. I approach guys all the time or online. I might, be the first one to start out. But I do love for a man to be a man. I like to stay in my feminine energy. I like to have a man kind of approach me and make the first move. But sometimes a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. So
confidence is sexy. Men find confidence so sexy. By you approaching them, they're gonna be like, "Damn, girl, we're gonna have to talk for a minute."
Yeah,
I was just about to say that. Yeah, but for women to approach me, full confidence, saying, "Hey, I want you tonight," that guy's most likely
He's on tonight. I want you tonight.
All for it. He's all for it. So definitely, speak your mind. Don't be afraid of us. We might look like we bite because we bite a little bit. Leave a little mark. But other than that, we're good.
But guys like that is what you're saying. Guys do like that because I think guys are always kind of on the hook to make the first move, to do the first things. You're the hunters, right? So that's kind of what you
hunter-gatherer.
Yeah, that's what your role is. So when somebody else can come in, I bet it feels kind of nice to be hit on, to be approached. Oh, it feels good.
Be the huntress.
The huntress.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Walk up to them. Tell them that you think they're cute. Get their phone number. Buy them a drink.
Oh, wow.
Well, now you're getting crazy, Mia.
No, that is not crazy. That is showing your confidence. You know that this is going to work out and that you are going to be able to sit there and have a conversation with them. If you don't buy them a drink and you just be like, oh, hey, I think you're cute, they're not going to be like, hey, yeah, let's sit here and talk.
Yeah.
Like, you buy a drink, you have a reason to go over there and sit down with them and have that conversation with them, because you're taking the drink from the bar and walking over to their table. Like, here, I got this for you. I thought you were really cute. And they're going to be flattered by it. And you're going to have that conversation. So be bold and approach them that way.
But then I would hope that the man would kind of take over from there. That would be my hope. Like, I'll make the first move. I'll do those few things. But then, come on, let's go.
That's understandable. But do you want to enter that situation with high standards, though?
Absolutely. Confidence is sexy. You should never make yourself feel less than what you're really worth. So if you have that confidence and you're going to walk up to somebody and tell them that they're cute, and you get their phone number and sit there and have a conversation with them, that confidence right there is all you. That shows how much you love yourself enough to have the confidence to walk up that way and do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I find confidence so entirely sexy that I would be okay with anybody approaching me.
But there's a
not that they have a chance, but just that confidence. I will sit there and have that conversation with them.
Do you think there's a fine line between confidence and cocky? You can be cocky
sometimes, but cockiness comes later on after you learn the personality. The
Mhm.
confidence is there, but the cockiness comes later on when they continue to
Be that way.
showboat. If they're not showboating, I don't think it's considered
Cocky.
cockiness.
I like cockily confident.
I just like saying cock. It's okay.
So Allison asked a question that I kind of wanted to see on both sides because it's not registering in my head for the male side, but it says, "Can me and my friend date the same guy?" I think totally yes, right? But
Yeah,
can two men date the same woman?
absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think that it should be. I don't think that it should ever be considered more so okay for one sex over the other. If anything in a relationship, a man can do, a woman should be able to do also. If he wants to go out and you've discussed it, and he wants to go out and date other people, then the woman should be able to go date other people too. If you guys want to enter into a relationship with somebody together, you and your best friend, and you've discussed this, and all three of you are on board for it, and you all have your boundaries set, there's no problem with it. That's called a polyamorous relationship. So, and don't get that confused with polygamy, because they're two so totally different things. But we'll get into that in a whole nother episode, because that is just a wild tangent for me.
Sometimes it can be tricky if you from dating the same person. Well, you have like the bro code, right? And your friend and your girlfriend code of like, hey, I already dated this guy. That's happened a lot of times where I have a close girlfriend who is exactly my height. She lives within my radius. We're the same age. So we show up a lot. When she was single, we would show up a lot on for the same person. And she'd be like, oh, I met this guy and da, da, da. And I'm like, oh, I already talked to I went out with him, and that was such a hard time for her. She had a really hard time with that. And I'm like, as long as you didn't like, I think there's levels with that. I think I would go, hey, he was a great guy. He wasn't right for me, but he might be great for you. So perfect. But if it's like more than that, like I think there's a little bit of the bro code or the friend code that comes into that at some point.
Yeah, I would definitely say communicate with me as I'm your sidekick tonight, but I would definitely say communicate with your friends before. I've had plenty of friends, walk up to me and ask me if they could date one of my ex-girlfriends. And I mean,
how many do you have?
I mean,
a lot.
I know he's like, I've had plenty of them. Come on, you want to date all my ex-girlfriends?
But no, I've definitely had friends walk up to me and ask me if they could date an ex-girlfriend.
How do you feel
depending on my relationship towards them still, I'm kind of just like,
and maybe who they were to you, or
yeah.
how long you dated them, or there's a lot of different scenarios there.
I've had some that I've said no to and some that I said yes to.
Julie has a really good question, and I think that needs to be answered. And I would like for you two to give your opinions on this one. Julie says, what are the red flags to look out for when dating someone?
So many.
I would say everyone has their own unique red flags. It's very hard to, pin down, red flags automatically. But I think one is, if they can't financially hold themselves, accountable for things, that's one red flag for me.
For me, if I was looking at different things, I might watch how they are with their family, with their friends, how they are in a restaurant, how they treat a waiter or a waitress. Are they a good person? Are they kind? I might look at how receptive they are to when I'm speaking or telling, certain situations or talking about a story. Are they just like, looking off the other way? They don't ask any questions. They don't really, know you or not wanting to listen to you. I think that's a bit of a red flag. I could come up with some more.
I think not willing to have a conversation with you, to truly have a conversation, to learn, to answer questions that you want to learn about them, or for you to or for them to ask you questions, if they're not asking you questions and trying to learn things about you,
yeah,
and they want to be in a relationship with you, then that's a huge red flag.
Red flag. Or
Right.
if they're talking too much about their exes on a date, that can be a big red flag. That's all they want to talk about is their exes or who they're talking to online. That's a red flag, I'd say.
I say a red flag is one that you can't really overlook, and that's hygiene.
Yeah, that is a big red flag. That is a big red flag. Or being inappropriate to you, not respecting your boundaries. That's a big red flag if they're not willing to do that. Or if they start talking, look at me, I'm like on a roll here. They start talking about sex and stuff right off the bat. I'm out on that. Like, give me a chance to know you. I don't want to know, when they come in like, hey baby, you're so hot, or can't wait to see you in a bikini or something like that. What? And you are? That's
I think another huge red flag is toxic behavior that we talked about earlier.
Yes.
Clinginess and you not being okay with it. If you're okay with it, then it's not a red flag. But if it's something that bothers you, then yes, it is a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Not wanting to spend time with you, not all of their time, obviously. You guys are dating, you're going to live in separate homes, you're going to have your own lives, but not willing to make that time for the date itself to go out. They just want to do the text message thing. Now, with long distance relationships, you're going to deal with just the text message thing. But if they're not willing to travel to you and be willing to help maybe pay for your travel to them if they can't make it to you, that's a huge red flag. If you're meeting this person online in a chat room or a dating site and you guys have been together for 3 or 4 months and you've not met each other, that's a red flag. Meeting the person in person is important, and just online dating without some human interaction it's not a fulfilling relationship. It doesn't make you feel fulfilled. So it wouldn't really work out, I don't think.
Ladies, could we liven it up a little? What's the best date you've ever had? Julie also asked.
Ooh, best date I've ever had. Ah,
PG date?
Huh?
PG date?
Yeah, then let me go.
There you go.
I'll go first.
The handcuffs are off. Let's talk about it.
I don't know. I really like a sweet, thoughtful, planned out date. I like an effort to be made. And I like I hate to say it, there's a lot of lazy men out there these days. And I'm only speaking for the women. I'm not going to speak for the men. There's a lot of lazy men. They want to get by with doing the bare minimum. And we allow that. So that's why we are where we are. I'll just say that. But for me, making an effort does not always mean spending money. It can be doing really sweet things. I had a really great date not too long ago that we went and walked along the beach and went just to this cool little dive bar. We had a beer and sat out in the back and people watched. And then we went and tailgated on the back of his truck and just watched the sunset, and then we went and had dinner. It was it wasn't an expensive night. There wasn't all this crazy over the top grandioso stuff. It was just sweet, personal. We had a lot of talking time, a lot of quality time. I thought it was great.
I agree. Anything that's thoughtful, but my favorite date was prom night. And no, we did not. We were 6 months in before I would even touch him.
Wow.
We were just babies. Oh yeah. No, we didn't do anything on prom night. We went out.
It would go back to when you met him. Would you do it? Would you have done it differently? Would you have still stayed 6 months, or would you have been the first?
Oh no, I still would have waited the 6 months.
You would have?
Oh yeah. He's the only man I've ever been with. Yeah, I would have.
Yeah.
I took him for a test drive first. I married him, and then I married him.
How long did you date before you got married?
We dated for a year before we got married.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll say for me, my favorite date was one that was actually not planned by me. So it's funny that you say that, Andrea. Planning dates ahead. It's funny because I took my girlfriend at the time down to Daytona for her birthday, and we did all these dates that I planned, And then by like the last night, she was like, "I got a date plan for you," and
Sweet.
we went out, and it was just a fun time, just enjoying each other's company.
Yeah, those are the best dates when they're just sweet.
I agree. All right. One last question, guys. Rena P says, should couples share passwords or keep some privacy? Want my opinion first? Share everything and never need to use it. Have that much trust and communication within each other.
There we go. But we've done a segment on sharing passwords, your Amazon passwords. Change them when they go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this is, I'm talking about marriage because I'm married. We're not sharing our passwords with our boyfriends unless we're living with them, because some people don't want to get married, and that's okay. You don't have to get married. It's completely up to you, but be in a committed relationship before you share those passwords, of course. Of course, I'm thinking marriage because I've been that way for so long.
Yeah. But if it doesn't work out, whether it's a marriage or just a living together, whatever, then change your stuff when they leave.
Absolutely. That divorce paper signed, all my passwords are changed.
I also wanted to say, if a person isn't willing to share their passwords with you, it's not that they don't love you or they don't care for you. They just have their own boundaries set and their own standards set. So just,
This is
learn
true.
to love them.
All right, guys, it has been wonderful. We are going to be taking a short break in July. Unfortunately, we're all a little bit too busy to be filming in July. So thank you for joining us this week on Tangled Heart Strings. We have a new feature that I'm so super happy to talk about. We have an email where you guys will be able to send your questions in, and we will be able to feature you on our show with your questions. And that email is going to be tangled.mia@ld3productions.com. And after our short break in July, we will have a dedicated section. Hopefully, we will have it set up for you guys just to focus on your questions and answer them and discuss them. And I'm going to try to get it in there for about 10 minutes at the end of each episode.
What was that email again, Mia?
That email is tangled.mia@ld3productions.com. This is something I am super happy to be able to offer to all of our viewers, because I know we can't get to all of your questions in the comments every single night. And they're important, super important to us. So make sure you go ahead and send those questions in to us. And when we come back on August 3rd of 2025, again on Sundays, August 3rd is our start date at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that email again is tangled.mia@ld3productions.com. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you are viewing us right now, so you'll get that little notification that we're live when we come back on August 3rd.
Yes.
Can't wait to hear you guys' questions.
All right, guys, it's been so much fun, and I'm so sorry that we have to leave for a whole entire month, but we'll see you again later.
Bye, guys.
Are you someone that sleeps? Our studies show you likely are. Designed for side sleepers straight out of the box, the Pillow Fight Haymaker Loft can be adjusted for back or stomach sleepers in mere seconds. Look at your current pillow. Face it, it's nasty. Our competition uses these cheap blobs of foam that just aren't comfortable or supportive. Pillow Fight's proprietary noodle-shaped foam blend rebounds quickly for maximum cool, comfort, and support. Oh yeah. Our naturally cooling cover will have you dreaming in no time. Handmade in the USA. Pillow Fight. Invest in your rest.
of day. The violin sings as the credits roll, a melody soft, it soothes the soul. Tangled heart strings